G'day again, vinyl collectors. Uncle Roddus back again with a video. Coming up to the end of February now, and I've finally picked up a few extra records recently. All things New Zealand again. Been catching a few gigs around town. There's been some really good gigs. Played in just small venues. Saw a lady called Clarkson, who's pretty legendary ex-Christchurch musician, been playing well over 35 years. She reformed a band called The Breathing Cage, who I have a CD from, and played a really good gig and played a lot of her past material, as well as a little bit of her recent stuff. And also caught the Bats earlier on, and a couple others. Aldous Harding quite recently. She's got a new album coming out. I've showed her first album quite some time back. Quite new to her. She's again lived over in Littleton, which is close to Christchurch, and she plays acoustic folk mainly, although she had a band supporting her this time, which was really cool. Playing some songs off her new record, which sounded really good, and really impressed. Really great live performer. But the one that I saw the week before her, a band that I had heard a couple of times on Chris Walker's Wahiki Radio, Canning the Beach show, called the Veils. The Veils. Get it right. So the Veils, it's hard to say whether they're a New Zealand band or not in some ways. They're actually resident in London. Now the guy that fronts the band was originally born in England, moved to New Zealand when he was, I don't know, a teenager, with his parents, and then moved back to London when he was a little bit older, put together a band, then came back to New Zealand, recruited a couple of locals into his band, went back to England and recorded several albums. And I was familiar with them. I was humming and hawing about whether I was going to go or not, and then a friend Facebook messaged. I saw a conversation between a couple of friends on Facebook, and he mentioned that he really liked them and wanted to see them, and was really bummed that they'd sold out. And I said, well, they actually haven't sold out. They're doing 2 concerts, and the Thursday night concert still had tickets. So I said, if you go to that, I'll come with you. So that was cool. So we went to that. That was really good, most enjoyable. So I picked up a couple of records while I was there of theirs. This was their second to last album from 2013. Time Stays We Go. This was the album that had some songs on that I was familiar with. A couple of the songs off this that I had heard, so that was cool. And then also picked up this one, their latest, and it is called Total Depravity. That's right. Now I thought that the tracks that I had heard played on Chris's show come off this album, but they haven't, because he'd mentioned this album several times. So this is a gatefold, and it's a double album with side D having a couple of short bonus tracks, a live studio track and a demo. So that's cool. So this album's pretty more straight ahead indie pop. I mean, they were a great live band. The lead singer Andrew Finn, I think his name is, or something to that effect. He's quite cool. He's a bit of a character, and he reminded me a little bit of Bono. He had a pretty cool hat on. There's the lovely red vinyl that came with that pressing. The other one's just on black. Yeah, so their music on the new album can be a little bit more experimental in places, a little bit more out there in places. yeah, I really like the first side. I haven't really given it a lot of attention as much as I could. Anyway, enough of that prattling on. So I read a book recently called Stranded in Paradise, which was written in the late 80s, which is a great book covering New Zealand rock and roll, rock music from the late mid-50s, early to mid-50s. I mean, it goes back before the 50s to our very first recordings that were recorded and released in New Zealand, brief touches on those. But its focus is mainly from the mid-50s with the rock and roll boom and when it hit New Zealand and as it progressed through there. So yeah, it's a great read, really great read. And in reading that, there were a lot of bands that were mentioned throughout that book. That, you know, names of bands I'd seen maybe or I've heard of but not really heard their music. But it was interesting because it gave me a bunch of names that I'd seen in the record bins. I didn't really know who they are or what they were, and this book actually helped me a little bit. And so a few things were mentioned, and I thought, wow, I've seen a record by them, and I've seen a record by them, and I've seen a record by them, and they've been sitting in the New Zealand music bins for quite a while, not really selling. Second hand. So anyway, I knew some of these records were there, and then also there'd been a couple of records that I'd seen on a Facebook page that were compilations, New Zealand compilations, and again they were ones that I'd seen. I knew were in the bins. They hadn't moved for quite some time. They'd been there for quite a while, and I'd seen them, and I kind of looked at them. I didn't even know some of the stuff that was on them. So I got into the shop finally. Been working in town once a week, just helping out a friend, and popped into the shop late afternoon after work. And first one I saw, yep, was still there, was this one here, and Art for Chart's Sake. So yeah, I'd seen this in the bins. It'd been there a while. It was a little bit pricey. The price, I think, is more for the rarity of it. It's playing in the background now. None of the bands I'd ever heard of. Aardvark, Armalite Hour, the Baxters, Let's Get Naked, The Moon, Rhythm Cocktail. Oh, the Idols were the only one I'd actually heard of before on side 2. And also the Spaghettis. I'd seen an album of theirs, or an EP of theirs, floating around in the bins, but I didn't even know who they were. So this is from 1986. So this is a Dunedin compilation on Rational Records. It's not, as you can hear, it's not quite the usual Dunedin type sound, the Flying Nun kind of thing, but around about the same time or a little bit afterwards. It's, on first listen, it's not fantastically good or anything like that. Yeah, it's probably going to take a little bit of getting to know the songs, but yeah, worth holding on to. The other one that had been posted on Facebook page that I'd seen was this one here, and I knew this as soon as I saw the cover on Facebook. I said, hey, I've seen that record. Yeah, and I'd actually looked at it. When I looked at the top of it with Dragon and Split Enz. Now, I mean, Split Enz are a great band, but later on I didn't really get into their music after their first 2 early 80s albums, and they got really big, and I'm not that familiar with their earlier stuff. And Dragon were a band that really went big here in Australia, and weren't really my cup of tea, really. But I did some other stuff that I'd heard about from Dragon, and I checked out some videos of their first 2 albums, and their first 2 albums are really, really good stuff. And the Split Enz earlier stuff is good. But seeing this record and actually looking at it a little bit closer, I realised there's some really good bands on here, and some that I hadn't heard of. So it turns out that the first track is the Dragon track, and it's a single from 1975, and it was before they became famous. They were still quite proggy, jazzy a little bit, and they really could stretch out a bit and play some pretty impressive stuff. And their first 2 albums are almost not impossible to get, but you pay pretty big money for them, and probably going to have to pick them up on CD if I can, but what I've heard of them are really good. So the track's called Education, and that is really, really good. As soon as I heard that, it was like, wow, that's a good track. The next track is by the Quincy Conserved, and I've got a CD of compilation of theirs, although this track called Rocking Chair isn't on it, but that also is a really good song. The next couple of songs are okay, and then we got a song by Headband. Headband were another fantastic New Zealand band. I actually picked up an album of theirs, their first album from about 1972. This compilation from about 1975. It's on TMA Records. TMA Records. I can't find this on Discogs. TMA Records I can't find on Discogs. This may be the only release they put out. Yeah, side 2 is really, really cool. It's got Space Waltz, Rocking Horse Through the Southern Moonlight, which is a song I already knew from another compilation I've got. Ragnarok are pretty cool, and the last ones were a very early Split End song. So yeah, great compilation. A couple of tracks that aren't that great, but and then as I said in the Stranded with Paradise book, there was mention of a few bands, and there'd been a couple of records in the record bins, and they've been there for ages. And I looked at them several times on several different visits, but I really had no idea what they were. And I thought, well, maybe they're some sort of ethnic Maori type music because of the name of the band. They're called Pacific Eardrum. And, you know, I thought, I don't know, that cover's pretty hard to say. I mean, it's quite a cool cover in some ways, almost a bit psychedelic in some aspects to it. This is their first album. So this album and the other one I've got, they've been sitting there for ages and ages, and, you know, I never had any idea. I mean, the prices on them weren't big, so I thought, okay, they're not ultra rare, they're obviously not ultra cool, otherwise they would be worth a bit more money. Anyway, after seeing them mentioned in the Stranded with Paradise, I decided to do a bit more research and found out a bit more about them and found some online clips and had a listen to it, and I was actually quite impressed. And it turns out that, again, this is another band you say, are they a New Zealand band or are they not? It turns out that the two main protagonists in this band, Joe Yates and, what's his name? Dave McRae, I think it's him. Keyboards and the vocalist, they are the two, and I think they were even a couple. They're both Kiwis, and they were living in London. They put this band together, and they recorded this in England. And it's kind of like jazzy, fusiony, poppy, MOR. You know, the production of it's pretty smooth. But there's some really good stretching out playing on this, and you know, some of the tracks are a bit more poppier, and that. But yeah, this I really like this, especially the more intricate tracks and the more involved jazzy sort of funky stuff. Joe's a really good singer. I think she's of Maori descent. There was some pictures, and I read a little bit about her online. So yeah, this is cool. They put out 3 albums all up. So this was the first from 1977, and then this one here was their last one. So I think they came back to New Zealand and actually recorded this here. This one's got Frank Gibson Jr., who's with drums and percussion. Also Brian Smith, I think if it's the same Brian Smith, saxophone and flute. He is a jazzy guy. Played. I've got a Brian Smith record, I think, in my New Zealand jazz collection that I picked up recently. This is, yeah. So this one here, this one's definitely more mellow, more poppy, more middle of the road. Again, it takes a wee bit of listening, and there are some nice moments on it. Not as good as the first album. I think the second album would be the other one I'd like to get. So this was the last one as far as I know. But still, you know, they were sitting there for a real long time, and I was looking at them and I was thinking, are they any good? What would they be like? I could have taken them up to the counter and had a listen to, but unfortunately I usually didn't have time. But yeah, so I'm glad I've got them, and I'm pleased to have added them to my New Zealand music collection. So that's cool. So that's really it for now. Just a small bunch. I'm about to head to Dunedin in a couple of weeks for a festival called Lines of Flight, which is an experimental music festival. There's actually 4 concerts with like 4 or 5 artists in each. Some of them I know, most of them I don't. It's something like I've never been to before, so I'm looking forward to that, and hopefully looking forward to picking up some records while I'm down there. I'm going to have to really try and find some money, because there's some good record shops down in Dunedin, and hopefully will be some records on sale by the artists at the gigs. One of the artists who's playing there, I had tried to purchase one of their records through Amazon. That was the only place I could find to purchase it at the time. Unfortunately, we've been having some trouble with Amazon in New Zealand with our parcels getting returned undelivered, and I'm not sure why. They apparently said mine had been damaged, but I also know someone else who had something like 3 parcels returned all in a row, and so there's obviously some problems with the mail out from England. That was Amazon UK. So anyway, I hope you're all well, and see you again soon.